Good. Well, hello everyone. I'm Diego. I'm going to give you a presentation I prepared and a couple of demos about how to do continuous integration of React Native application with App Center. So let me jump. What is an online tech talk? Basically, are meetings that we are scheduling every Friday at 1 p.m. like today, and we told is a place that we can tell story time. We can tell other colleagues something that we did over the week. We can present research or blog post explaining and sharing something that is useful for other persons, and technology updates about new framework, features, or tool that is the one that I'm going to talk here. So, well, I would like you to mention that subscribe to the YPROM YouTube channel, because all online tech talks are going to be are uploaded there, so you can check previous tech talk there. So, well, let me start with the presentation. Agenda. What are we going to talk about? We are going to how to set up a React Native project in App Center, how to configure or set up the project build information. We are going to talk about distribution and submit to stores, and some important facts that we learned using this tool, and some live demos I'm going to share with you about how is the setup and how is the service. So let me jump to the first one, set up a React Native project in App Center. So there are some requirements. To have a working React Native application, maybe it's silly, but we need to ensure that the application is working and is running, to make it work in Docker simulators, and to have it into a repository. Well, this is important, that the application is running and working properly, in order to do the build and to understand that is failing the build or the application itself. So how is this? We need to create a new application on App Center. Basically, sign in App Center, create the new application. This is the information that App Center requires for you to enter. And well, you need to enter the name of the application. This is how you want to name it. In App Center, it's not related with the final name of the app. You need to select the operating systems. Usually for React Native, we're going to create one application for iOS and another application for Android. So basically, we're going to have at least like two set of application App Center, and then we need to select the React Native platform, right? So if you have any question, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Then after we create application, we need to connect to the repository, because App Center is going to check all the branches and it can trigger automated builds. So you will need to select the repository, and then it's going to connect to GitHub, and then you need to select which is the repository that will get the branch and the code of your app. And then finally, when that part is set, you need to set up the build. So you can set up a custom build per branch. So usually you can match like development, staging, and main branch to trigger the different builds related to the different flavors of the app. And then you can set custom variables per configuration and per branch. So you will have like development branch with the development environment or development API, and then the same for staging and main, right? As you can see here, you have there is a person who helped me, Guillermo. I will thank you because he helped me to do this application. So okay, next thing. After you set up, you click into this configure build button. You are going to see this information that you need to set for the application. So basically, it's going to grab the repository information, and then you need to select. You can set different schemas if you have shared schemas. You can select the Xcode version. You can select the version of Node.js, and then you have some build scripts that is going to appear different icons here if you set some build scripts. And then you need to select the build frequency, right? If you want to build on every push or you want to manually run the builds with a click. And then you have another things. Another important thing is the environment variables. Then you press save or press save and build, and it's going to trigger the build, right? So, okay. Then if you do everything right, you're going to get the green icon that the build succeed. Maybe the build is going to work, maybe not. And then you will have the build output here that App Center is going to explain you why the build is failing. So, well, that is kind of the way it works. And let's demo time. So I will do an application with you. So basically, I have it here. This is App Center. I am already logged in with an account. And we're going to create a new application. So you need to go here and add a new app. We're going to do app demo, right? You can put as release. We can put like a beta, and then you need to select the operating system. It's going to be iOS, and then you need to select which is going to be the platform, right? Then add app, and then basically you create a new application. As I already mentioned, you need to create one application for iOS and another application for Android. And then, well, here, App Center also provide the SDK that you can connect and you can do analytics or crash reports. But, well, that is something that provides you also. Then you need to click here on build, right? And this is already mentioned that you need to connect to the repository. So I'm going to click here on GitHub. I am already logged in on my GitHub account. I'm going to look for the application. Is this one, React Native To-Dos app? After you click, you're going to see that these are all the current branches that that repository has. And then you can set up the configuration of those branches clicking into this icon. When you click there, you can, well, as I already mentioned, you select all this information. If you have multiple schemas on your repository project, it's going to appear a dropdown here, like development stage or production. Then you can select the Xcode version if it's compatible with the previous version. For example, the application that this is related, I think, to iOS 16, because into the application that we are using App Center, we're using this flavor, and we set up like 2 or 3 months ago. And then Node.js version, we're selecting 16. And then you can select like build on every push or manually. And then something that we also set up is the increment build number. So basically, you can track which is the build that you are testing, and it's useful. And also, you can like enable environment variables, so you can like enter all the variables here. And then, well, this is to distribute builds. You need to sign it. Well, this is how it looks like. I already have an application already set here. Is this one with all the configurations. So I'm going to show you how it works. For example, for the development environment, I put like this version, the Xcode version. The latest one it was showing like some errors. That's why I downgrade to this one. And then I have like to build this branch on every push. So on every push, it's going to trigger a build. Every pull request that we close and we set a commit on development is going to trigger build. I already enabled like incremental build number, and I put some environment variables here as an example, right? So you can set GraphQL endpoints. For example, in the application, we're using like this environment variables. We're using a code generator file for the GraphQL API. We have the Cognito information here. And then I already like signed this. I already created all these files in order to sign the builds. So this is how it looked like. When you set up the application. So let me go back to the presentation a bit. Let's continue. Okay, distribute. So let's assume that we already create the application, and the application is building and it's working properly. We will want to distribute the application automatically, and we can do that also with App Center. So the pre-requirements in order to distribute the application is to have access to the Apple developer account, because we need to create their certificates in order to be installed into physical devices, because Apple won't allow you to do that in our case. So we need to create the certificate and passwords into the Apple and into a Mac computer. We need to create the P12 certificates and some mobile provision certificates. I already create those in advance because the process takes some time to do it. And to have created Android certificate and passwords. It's the same. It's different, but on Android, but you need to create also that in advance. Then, as I already showed you in the builds, into every build, you need to put the certificates that you are going to use. In this case, this was a feature branch, but it's the same as develop. So I create some certificate for the development environment. And these are the one that I created. I named like certificate is for ad hoc. Basically, it's not to submit to stores for testing in iPhone devices. And also this is a general distribution certificate that you need to create also on Apple developer website. And you need to sign the builds, and also after you sign the builds, you can define to which group do you want to distribute. So let's assume that this is a development branch build. So we're going to distribute to the alpha team. I put group alpha developers. So you can create distribution groups. You can create a different group per different branches. For example, the development branch is going to send an email to the developers. The staging branch is going to send an email that the application is ready for the pro owners, and the main branch is going to distribute directly to the stores. So you create a distribution group into one section. You can add people to the distribution group, and then you need to select distribution group on the build. And you do the build, and after the build succeeds, it's going to be sending some emails, and you're going to receive an email like this after the build is successfully. It's like you're going to receive an email that the application is ready for you to test it. And also you can distribute the builds directly to a store. So this should be the setup if you want to do the setup on the main branch. The main branch should be submitted to the stores, and then on the store you can connect to TestFlight and do the final test of the production release, and then submit to Apple for review and approval. So more demo. Okay, so basically I create some distribution groups, as I already mentioned. I did a build. Oh, it's not here. Okay, so you here into distribute, the two main like sections you're going to use is build and distribute. Here you can see all the releases. I test a new release, and then into groups, you're going to see that I create like two groups. One is alpha developers that here, when you click into the group, you're going to see the testers. I'm here only myself. And if you go here, the another group is beta tester, pro owners, and I put Guillermo into this group. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a trigger a build just for you to see. And then we can see that for the development branch here into the config, and this is going to do a build on a push, right? When a new commit is into the development branch, it's going to apply, it's going to increment the build number, it's going to apply all these environment variables, it's going to sign the application so we can test into physical devices. Otherwise, it's not possible to test on iOS devices. And then after all this finish, it's going to distribute to this group, but also you can like select as many groups as you want, right? So you can distribute to whatever group you want. But by default, I put like to distribute to the alpha developers. So I'm going to go here. I already create a pull request. It's a small change. It's to change the name of the application, basically. And if we question merge the commit, it's going to be into development right now, right? So it's already merged. And if we go here to App Center, as you can see, it automatically trigger a build. So if you click into here, into the branch, you are going to see this build. I did a merge previously and I canceled, right? But if you go here, you can see that it's already start doing the build. So you're going to see the log output here. Usually this takes like 15 minutes, maybe 20. And then after all this finish, it's going to do a distribution and it's going to send an email to the group I defined that is going to be the alpha developers. And the email you're going to receive is the same. You click into that email and then you can install the application into your device. The same applies for Android and iOS. It's like you're going to receive that kind of email. And then if you go here to releases, you can see that this first release, that is the email that I received, that is this email, right? Here, the build number is the 4 that is here. So that's why it's important to understand which is the release. And then the destination of this release was the alpha developers, that was only myself. But you can distribute, for example, this build, and you can distribute to another groups. Click into this button, and you can distribute to another groups, or you can submit to the store. So you have that flexibility, right? What else? So this is going to trigger build, just to see the how the application works. One sec. I'm going to show you the application is a to-do list. And basically, well, that's all. Into these other sections, into the store section, for example, you can connect to the iOS store, and also you can, well, here is going to appear the production version of the app that, well, I didn't set up a release. And then if you want to release to test flight groups, if you have different test flight groups, it's going to appear like here below also. So, well, this is the application, right? The pull request, I put like this fix, well, this change, put OTT to do app. And I create like some to-do things to do. give some OTT, answer some question, and ask for speakers at the end of the OTT. What else? Do you have someone have any questions so far, or we can talk at the end of the?
Just a quick question: how nicely does this play with the Expo apps that are built, the React Native apps that are built with Expo?
Yeah, this application was created with React Native and also with Xcode. So basically, what I had to do is I create application with React Native. With Xcode, I change the package name and do some like setup. And then after you save all that into Xcode, it's going to be saved into the project repository. And basically, everything is working and connected. The signing of the application, it was done on the Apple developer account. So as you can see here, I have some changes I did into the bundle name and the application, and all these changes were made. This is like the default that React Native create. And basically, I changed like all this information into Xcode, and after I save, I submit. To GitHub. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
I think that Einstein was referring to Expo. Expo is
Xcode.
It's a framework for instead of create React app.
Expo. Well, yes, Xcode. I thought you mentioned. With Expo, Expo provides some CI/CD functionality. Maybe I think you can use Expo CI/CD. I used it in the past, but don't remember really well how it works compared to App Center. But also you can create an Expo application and use this CI/CD. For example, I did that to another application. The application was created with Expo, and I used this CI/CD to deliver the application. So you can use it with Expo applications, for example.
Okay, thank you.
You may need to troubleshoot might need, I'm not sure, with plugins or stuff like that, but yeah, it should work.
Okay.
I test another tool app with Expo, and it take a little more time because it download more libraries, but it works, for example. It already worked. I tested like 2 or 3 days ago.
Nice, thank you. Didn't mean to derail.
Yeah. So okay, let me continue. Some important facts. Well, is it expensive? They provide a free tier, right? The free tier is like this. You can set. It provides 1 concurrent build at a time and up to 4 hours per month. And to do some tests, also they provide like some free tier. And which is the limitations? It's like 1 build pipeline per organization or user account. So basically, it's like you can do 1 build at a time. The limitation is more related to the time. And they suggest you, they offer 240 build minutes per month. Usually the application, for example, the application that I showed to you, it took like 15 minutes. The application that we are building, it takes between 30 to 33 minutes to do the build on Android and iOS. So basically you get between 8 to 10 builds per month. And also there's another limitation about 30 minutes per build. So if the application takes more than 30 minutes to do the build, App Center is going to cut it off. And it was funny because at the beginning, we were using the free tier just to test and do all the setup. And our application was taking more than 30 minutes. And we were like checking a lot of things and trying to understand what happened. And then Guillermo finally checked the limitations of the free trial, and then the application was cut it off at 30 minutes. But it was the build was fine, right? So we jumped to the paid tier and it was working. It took like 32 minutes to do the build. And they provide like some test tire also on the free time. So the paid tire, is it expensive? No. Currently, we're using like this one. You pay $40 per month, and you can do one concurrent build, but you can do unlimited builds, right? Unlimited hours, unlimited builds. So you can build one at a time. So you can build or Android or iOS into some certain time, but then you can do all the builds that you want. We're using this one on the project, and then if you want to build like concurrently more than one, you can jump to maybe this one or the one that you want. Paid tire limitations. So I checked this based on documentation. The paid tire, they have a limitation of 60 minutes per build, and then if your application takes more than 60 minutes, it's going to fail. And then if you want to add more concurrent builds, well, you can do it. But the only limitation is concurrent builds on the paid tire. Well, that's all. Thank you. Happy build. Well, if you have any questions, this is the correct time.
Diego, in your experience, is this better than other building solutions you tried before?
I create like some downsides, extra section here. And the only downside that I'm seeing here is that it takes like a lot of time to do the builds. If I do the build into my computer, it takes like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. But here it takes like 25 to 35 minutes. So the speed, and also, well, that you need to pay it. Well, that is something that clients will do. But also the other downside is like you cannot customize like the build pipeline a lot. If you want to do something, well, you need to do maybe outside of App Center, maybe on GitHub Actions. If you want to, I don't know, do something else, you can do the pipeline that they provide. You can do like builds and tests, but if you want to do something else, you need to do outside of it.
And when you say outside, there are no hooks that you can use?
Yes, well, there are hooks, exactly, yeah. But I know that there is other tools that they provide, like you can customize the build pipeline inside the tool. And the other downside, well, the good or bad thing is like every build is grabbing all is doing a fresh install. It's not caching. And that's why it takes a lot of time, but well, that is something that you cannot change. It's not caching like packages or pods or everything. That's why it takes like a lot of time also, because it's doing like a full install from scratch.
A clean install.
Yeah, exactly. To install that is good, but yeah, it's slow, right? They provide, yeah.
Go ahead.
No. They provide also some custom scripts. That is a good thing. There's other extra sections, custom build scripts. So you can basically run different scripts on the post clone after the project is cloned into the App Center. You can do a pre-build and post-build scripts. And usually, for example, to install additional libraries, you can do there. If you have private repositories, you can authenticate there. So it's good to use a post-clone script. Are all Bash scripts, so you can put whatever you want in Bash. And you can do a pre-build, and we're using here to set the app version. So the commercial version of the application, 1.1.20, right? We are setting into a big pipeline because that need to match Apple and Android. And if you want to change it because, I don't know, Android or Apple request to do some change, you need to manually change on the code and do a commit and do another build. So it was like easy to change. You can change the icon also. I saw other project that they changed the icon in order to identify which version they are testing instead of just the name. But also we changed the name to to do dev, to do staging, and then to do is going to be the production. And the post build you can use to trigger some hooks. And here are like some, oh, this is an example about the post clone to do some authentication on the private repository.
Mm.
So that is some things that we are using some scripts before the build of the application. Yeah, sorry. In your question, you were going to say something.
No, my next question was in terms of managing testing users, right? Like QAs
Yes.
and beta testers. Does it simplify in any way the management of those people?
Yes. Yes, it's really simple. Here into groups, you can go to you define the groups that you want to have into your application, and then into testers. Basically, you add people here, and there after a build is finished, they are going to receive an email that the build is ready, right? The other downside I find out is that happened to us is to install the application into your device, you need to install a certificate into your iPhone, and then you need to try to install the application the first time, and then it's going to appear here like a new device that you need to provision. So basically, here, if I send the application to you, you are going to appear here, and then I need to provision only the first time.
If you add me now,
yes.
I will receive the email, I will install TestFlight, try to download the application, etc., and it won't work. It will show up here.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not using TestFlight. Basically, they're using you install outside of TestFlight. TestFlight is from Apple, so they send emails, and you can install outside of TestFlight. And the other limitation that we find out is it's not working into company phones. Like if some company phones some Limite resources, so it's not going to work. And also, you need to enable into iOS 16. You need to enable developer mode in order to install the application. But well, that is something that. But what you can do is like you can trigger to TestFlight and use TestFlight and use this tool just for the building.
Okay.
So on that part is useful. We start like using this for building and distribution, but we might need to switch to distribute with TestFlight because for the client it's easy to install the application using TestFlight. There's less like friction about like things. But besides that, it's working, and we're using like, and it's really good.
If there are no more questions, I have one more. Have you got to do anything in order to enable diagnostics and analytics?
Yes, you need to install the SDK into a project. We're designing to install this or Firebase, or maybe both. And yes, you need to install the SDK and to put like some secrets in order to grab information for analytics or crashes. So the application crash, or you want to know how the users use. Yes, it's already integrated. And something that we are using also with App Center is code push. So this is something that is new that we put in the application this last week. So basically, you can like change the application without doing a new release. So how it works generally is like you deliver the application, the 1.0, for example, and then you have a typo or you want to like do a little change. You can do the change and you code push to all the devices. And here, you're going to see the different like code push versions. So, and when the user opens the application is going to connect to App Center code push. They are going to identify there is a new JavaScript code, and it's going to download to the phone and refresh the application, and then it's going to start again.
Yeah, I knew that code push exists. I mean, we used to do it manually in the past. The React Native code is actually JavaScript, and it's a resource inside the
Yes.
iOS application. So basically, it's
Exactly.
downloading a new resource and replacing the whole code. So the whole
Yes.
application works differently. I don't know right now, but a couple of years ago, Apple was not a fan of code pushes because you were kind of bypassing their approval.
Yes, exactly.
For testing, for testing is perfect, but for production environments, I'm not sure where Apple stands right now, but I wouldn't recommend code pushes in
I
product.
use some applications in my phone that they do code push. They do both. They do releases, like main release, they release, and some small changes they do code push.
When you are changing your native components, your iOS Swift components, you need to do a new push because you're adding new components to the iOS.
Yeah, exactly. When
you're updating the React Native code, and that is the logic of the application, that's a JavaScript file. That is a resource in terms of the native app. So that you can do the push. Apple was not a fan of people doing code pushes because Apple wants to review that your application works, and you are basically bypassing that review process. That's why they didn't like it. But I'm not sure where they stand right now, right? Perhaps they lost that battle and they are not fighting that anymore. I really don't know.
Yeah, but it's like, you're right. It's like you can change only the JavaScript code or some style or some text or maybe some logic, but you cannot add like some iOS or Swift changes. You can install like pulp libraries or whatever, because for that you need to do a new build. So you can do some things, not a lot. But yeah, well, this is something that we are using into the app. We finished last week. We didn't like test it and move it to production.
Thank you, Diego.
Well, you're welcome. Someone else?
Gracias, Diego.
Oh, okay. You're welcome, guys.
Gracias.
Thanks.
Sí, hola.
Thank you. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Muy bueno, buen fin de semana.